2 weeks to your Hyrox. What should you be doing? What's different? I have Coach O here today. I'm Dr. J. We're both prepping for the Hyrox. We have slightly different plans. We have different bodies, different customizations, just like you do. That's why you're here, listening to this conversation. Find out what we're doing the last 2 weeks of the Hyrox. How you doing today, Coach O?
Doing pretty good.
Good stuff,
Pretty
man.
good.
Yeah, we have 2 weeks till. And what's the difference that you're taking, that you're starting maybe in these last 2 weeks that you didn't do in the first 3 months, or are you even doing anything different?
Yeah, I mean, so so far I've just been tapering down the time that I spend training, and just kind of getting my mind right to being more active towards recovery, because I think this is kind of almost like the hardest time for me. It's like once we start getting close, and I feel like most people that have signed up for Hyrox have the same kind of an issue. It's like, we can't sit still, and it's like,
absolutely.
Oh, because I don't feel like I'm being productive. So how I counter that is being very proactive with recovery. And so making sure that I'm like going to the sauna, doing yoga, just being more active, taking a nature walk or hike as they work out, or get some early morning sunlight out there, cold plunge, sauna, those type of things, just being very active. So I feel like I'm doing something, you know what I mean? It's not just sitting back and resting, because I can't do. I'll end up running. Like,
absolutely.
Throw some shoes on. Let me just go run. You know what I mean?
You'll run.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, running's such a big part of the Hyrox. It's 50%, right, of the race and the event. And I think, if the people that are watching, if you're watching this right now, you know these things, or you're trying to get familiar with the Hyrox, so you know that running is a big part of it. And I think you're right. My last 2 weeks is very similar. I spent a lot of time focused on recovery. Sleep is one big thing that I try to focus on.
Yeah.
Especially because I have kids.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure that I'm not going to sleep too late, because the kids can wake me up at any point. Which will change my workout, especially if it is that day that I'm supposed to be doing a harder workout that day. But you're right. I'm tapering off my workouts. I think they're shorter. I'm not doing, the intensity is still there, but I'm not necessarily going an hour or hour and 15 minutes or anything like that. And then my runs are a little bit shorter, and this kind of brings me to the point back to before. I would try to do, if you can't run for an hour, and not necessarily like run the whole time, but if you can't run, walk, and stay active like during that full hour and make it running for a full hour, I don't think that necessarily you know what you're about to get into with Hyrox. You're right. I mean,
right, yeah.
You have to be able to run for an hour at least.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't run the whole time.
Yeah.
But you got to keep going.
But you have to have the endurance.
Right. So I'm not doing that anymore, because I don't think I need to.
Yeah.
But you're right. The intensity is still there.
Yeah.
How about this? What are you doing as far as the frequency of your workouts? Are you still working out, say 5-6 times a week? Like what are you doing now?
This second to last week, yes, it's still a 5 to 6 training day a week. But as I come into that last week, I'm probably gonna have like 2 moderate workouts during the last week of training, and those other days are active recovery days.
Okay. Define that. What does active recovery
days
mean to you?
So I may still go to the gym, but I'll get in the sauna for 20 minutes, and maybe I'll do some running in the pool. Something that's very like easy on the joints.
Interesting.
And just kind of make sure that I continue to move my body and get like circulation, but like as far as like the pounding, you know what I mean, like from running or something like that, I'm just really kind of taking it easy, man, to make sure that I feel my best come race day.
See, that's why I like talking to you. See, running in the pool, I didn't even think about doing the running in the pool, although that makes sense, and I've done it before.
Yeah.
But I think that's the That's the good part about the Hyrox too, is that if you've been to a Hyrox event, the environment is everyone's just willing to help, encourage you. You get different advice from different people, and then you incorporate that. I remember last year we talked to a guy that was doing the pro, right? And he told you, I think specifically he told you how to go from what we were doing to decrease your times dramatically. And he told us basically to break up the days, like don't run and work out on the same day.
Leave your running days.
Right.
And then the functional training days, strength days, your strength days.
So are you still doing that these last 2 weeks?
I've been doing that, and these last couple of weeks, yes. So the second to last week, still doing that. Obviously, but that last week really looks a lot different than the second to last week.
Yeah, well, let's jump to the last week. Like, what does that last week look like for you?
So I plan,
or I should say, what are you anticipating?
I'm anticipating a couple of cold plunges, mineral soaks. Whether I do it at home or I go to a place that they have mineral spas or something like that. A lot of easy activity, like I said, like running in a pool, maybe some cycling or something like that, just to get some circulation going. But cut it off at about 30, 45 minutes. Hydration is a big one for me. So I'm drinking about a gallon of water a day. Some of that water has electrolytes, and sleep. I've been pretty good, I think, with sleep over the past couple years, I think. So we've gotten into a good routine with the kids. Basically, when they get down, I go down with them.
I hear you.
There's no reason for me to stay up
just
past 9 o'clock if I don't have to. You know what I mean? So it's like I go to sleep. I get up fairly early in the mornings, like 5 a.m. But that sleep feels good to me. So try to make sure that I do what's necessary. Now it's gonna like this. Once we get down to the last week here, the kids are gonna be on spring break. So
it's gonna be different.
I'm gonna have to wear them out
during the day.
So maybe my workout. We're gonna be at the park with the kids.
That's your active rest day.
Active rest day out in the sun, making sure they get beat up by the sun so that they go to sleep.
Absolutely. Let the sun be your friend.
I might do a little bit of fishing, something like that, man. But being active.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So talk to me about what's your last day that you think that you were going to put a moderate run in, in that last 2 weeks. What are you thinking? Where are you putting that run?
I think, so race day is on Saturday. The last moderate run is going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday, 4 days before the race, basically.
Yeah.
Is that 3 days before? 3 days before the race.
Yeah, 3 days. It would be the last day. And it would be like a 30-minute.
30-minute run. Somewhere like a 5K or 30-minute, a little bit longer. Like something. So why is that? Talk to me about what's the reason for Wednesday and not, say, Saturday, a week before. What's the reason?
So the Saturday, like the week before, I plan a little bit, like, will be my last long run. And so whether it's like a good 7-mile day or something like that, that Wednesday, that 30-minute moderate run is just so that I can feel that run and just kind of, I feel like it preps me still for Saturday and allows me to not like do too much damage to where I'm still gonna fully recover Thursday and Friday and be ready to go on Saturday.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah, because we know from physiology that if you take too much time off, you actually lose your endurance, right? So you take a full week off, that's probably too much.
Might be too much.
Maybe too much. Yeah, maybe too much.
On the person. But I mean, like it's tough to know because people are different. Like for people that have been historically like runners and they just put in those kind of miles, they may put in like 40 upwards to about 80, 90 miles a week, and they may be just fine taking a full week off and coming back and being fully refreshed. But so I don't know. I mean it's really subjective, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like we know what the science says, but the science doesn't always include you.
Yeah, that's true.
What I mean?
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Well, I guess it never includes you.
No,
So it's like,
everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think that's the important part of this talk is that, you're doing things similar to what I'm doing, but we're still doing them differently.
Yeah.
I think multiple reasons. One big one, especially with the Hyrox, because of the races, I like to call it the great equalizer. There's some moves that you're going to be better than me, and there's other moves I'll be better than you.
Yeah.
But that's why the Hyrox is so popular, because everyone has those events that you can be actually better at. But that run in between, that's up to how much endurance you have, how much endurance, how much work have you put in?
How fast can you go?
How fast can you go?
How long?
For how long? Right.
How
So,
fast and how
and there's a few channels that talk about this, about the hybrid training, and they've done the pro Hyrox, and I've gotten some good knowledge from them about running fast basically. And I think on our first go round, I didn't run fast a lot.
Yeah.
There was a couple times I did, but I did more of like, can I make this amount of miles?
Yeah. You kind of. I think we both did that, where we got caught up in like pacing ourselves. Instead of just like, just go, man.
Just go. Just
like,
go.
Just go.
Just go. Yeah. Just go.
And that's tough to do. When
it
you
is.
know that you have a long race ahead. Like, can you just push it right out the gate and see where the wall is?
Yeah. I like that. Just go.
Sprint to the wall.
Just go.
And then once you hit that wall, then it's like, okay, start thinking about managing and pacing and things like that to get through. But at least you know where that wall is for you.
No, it makes sense. So let's go to 3 days before the race. 3 days before the race, that would be Thursday, technically, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, kind of. It depends on how you want to count days, I guess.
Yeah. But the Thursday before.
We'll say that the Thursday before. We're assuming all races on Saturday.
Yeah.
Some of them are on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, which brings up to another point. We'll go to that. But 3 days before the race, or the Thursday before the race, what are you doing and what are you thinking? What are your goals?
I'm really dialed in nutrition, hydration.
All right, let's break those up. Let's not go too far.
Okay.
Nutrition. What do you mean you're dialed in for nutrition? What are you thinking?
Nutrition, clean carbs. For me, I operate well with like sweet potato and rice even, and still a decent amount of protein. Not a whole lot, but I'm not necessarily carb loading. I'm allowing myself to have more carbs though.
Yeah.
You're
pushing those stores up, pushing those glycogen stores.
Sure glycogen stores are full.
Yeah.
While not.
But not overdoing it.
Not just like overeating.
Like the seafood diet, like you talked about before, is like you see some food and you just eat it.
No.
Because
just not overeating.
I think that's a good point though, because when you get to that point, like we're pretty hungry.
Yeah.
We've been working out for 3 months. You're ready to go. Endurance is up. Weight is up. Done a lot of strength work. So you're probably going to be a little bit hungry.
Yeah.
So watching what you put in your body, and like you said, I think you brought up a good point. Not dirty carbs, basically clean carbs.
Yeah.
So I'm not grabbing like cookies and cakes and stuff like that, and just throwing that in the tank. Right.
Yeah.
The sugar causes inflammation, so that's going to be a problem on the joints.
Yeah, that'd be a big problem. And part of that, like feeling hungry, I mean, like kind of hedge that with hydration, I guess, is the next point. Like making sure that you're actually hungry. Maybe you're just thirsty. You know what I mean? Just make sure that you're continue to drink.
Say that again.
Yeah, you might not be hungry.
Right.
You might just be thirsty.
Right. Sometimes when you feel like you're hungry, you're actually thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body doesn't really know the difference sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it makes. I'm glad you said that because that's a huge point.
Yeah, just make sure you're hydrated before you feel famished. Like, all right, well, just have some water and then think about what you want to eat.
Makes sense.
And you tend to make more sensible choices that way anyway.
Okay. So definitely dialed in nutrition and hydration Thursday before the race.
Yeah.
How about activity? Like what type of activities are you doing? Are you doing any stretching, any mobility, or are you just taking it easy? What are you?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I think a good outdoor stretch would be good that day, or a yoga session. Take the laptop out to the park and do online yoga class or something like that, man. That day, a good run in the pool would still be good. I think. Very light activity, man.
Okay.
Light activity. So really focused on rest. I'm not trying to burn a whole bunch of calories either. Like no matter what I do, just kind of moving my body. Like I really like the yoga thing and stretching. Just kind of making sure my mobility is good and hydrate.
Let's talk about injuries, right? You have 2 days before the race. You may have an injury that you're dealing with, and you've kind of been dealing with, and you've been riding through it. What are you doing for that?
So yeah, in that case, I would make sure that like I like to ice for inflammation purposes, but also like just I don't know, just I guess depends on the injury.
Depends on that is kind of a general question. It does depend on injury, right?
I guess for me, so
we had an athlete. We had an athlete last year that had an injury, knee
Yeah.
injury, and she was trying to get through it. Had to wrap it a few
Oh,
times.
yeah.
So you're right. It does depend on the injury. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a loaded question.
Well, yeah, but make sure that you address it. I mean, you want to do everything that you can to make sure that you're feeling as close to 100% as you can that day. And if you have to reschedule back out of this thing because this injury, I mean, it might be a good thing to do, which, I thought that I might have to. So we'll say, like, for me, I dropped a weight on my foot about a month ago now, and it just kind of been irritating. We know now that we're cleared to go. Like, there's no fracture or anything like that. But still some tenderness, and so I'm going to make sure that I'm icing and resting it. Not going to be doing any like jumping or anything like that a couple of days before the race, right? So I'm going to really taper down like impact training, stuff like that. And so doing what you have to do to make sure that you feel recovered and ready to give your best effort.
Makes
on
sense.
Saturday,
So going to the day before the race. The day before the race, mentally people are dialed in. They're thinking, tomorrow's my race. But what are the things that you really should be thinking the day before an event like this?
Relax. I think like that day before is when I start to get kind of like jittery, antsy. It's like, oh man, I feel like nervous, but it's important to like practice relaxing, like slow your breathing down, do some diaphragmatic breathing, like box breathing.
The box breathing.
Yeah.
Box breathing, yeah.
Box breathing and visualization, you know what I mean? Just kind of see yourself going through the different stages of the race. And just relax and trust the work that you've put in for the past several months. Like,
Makes sense.
It's like, trust the work. Like, you've put in the work to get this race done. Like, now it's just a matter of going and doing it and just enjoying it. Like, enjoy the time. Like, be present when you get out there and just have fun.
And continuing the nutrition, the hydration.
Yeah. All throughout
Which brings up a different point. Hyrox is all over the world, and some people are starting to travel with it. We're traveling with the next one.
Yeah.
In that consideration of the day before, especially if you're traveling the day before, 2 days before, what are some of the things that you'll be thinking and trying to make sure that you do to be prepared with the consideration of having that travel that's mixed in?
So kind of the same thing still, like making sure like hydration is there. I hate pushing hydration while I'm traveling because I don't like to stop. I just like to like get where I'm going, but that's gonna have to change. You know what I mean? It's like I have to be hydrating to make sure that I'm ready, and then getting there, and like once you get to location, move your body. I would say like stretch.
Immediately get loose,
yeah,
basically.
Just kind of like stretch, move your body. Like that jet lag, you want to get rid of it as soon as possible, and make sure that you like eat a good dinner, nice carb dinner, like carb loaded dinner, and sleep, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it depends too. Like, I know some people's race are like later in the day, and that seems brutal to me.
Man, very brutal. We talked to a lady last year that they were racing at 7 o'clock at night, I think. And that was the relays, though. That was the relay race.
Yeah, that's not, which isn't too bad.
Which isn't,
but
it's
still,
a relay,
it's like you're all day.
It's all day, all day.
Like just waiting and anticipating.
So probably the day before, probably not the best time to try new foods.
No. Oh, no. Gosh, no. Yeah, you may be tempted, especially if you're like out of the country, you're in a new place. I mean, be careful. I mean,
right.
I wouldn't try. No.
Yeah, stick to the carbs as you're used to.
Stick to what you know.
Stick to the proteins
you're
used
to.
to.
Your body knows.
Right.
And get through this. And then after the race, it's like, go ahead and go try something.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's go to the morning, the day of the race, the morning of the race.
Yeah.
Which we'll get some footage. Morning of the race. Yeah. What are you doing? You know, what are you thinking? What are you doing?
Depending on the time, I'll usually try to make sure that I'm up a few hours before, because that'll be my last time to kind of eat just a normal sized meal. And then I am hydrating, not overly hydrating, just kind of mentally preparing, and that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Like mentally preparing, make sure I got everything that I need as far as like my gear, my shorts, tights, my socks, all the things are ready, and just relaxing, kind of.
And trust the process,
Trust
basically.
the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
And so,
how's your hydration go that morning? Because I think some people think that's kind of tricky. They don't want to overload themselves with water.
You don't want to overload. That's how I feel. Like I don't want to do too much. I mean, I shouldn't feel thirsty. Like maybe every hour I'm probably having about like 10 to 12 ounces of water or something like that, but nothing crazy, you know. And then I'm a caffeine guy, so I may have like 100, 200 milligrams of caffeine about 30 minutes before the race.
So it's kind of like the pre-workout, basically, whatever your pre-workout choice is for caffeine.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to another part of that. Is the poop before for the race.
Yeah, so you want to get that caffeine, like 30 minutes gives me enough time for it to get in. Usually, I mean,
it's pretty instant.
I don't know if this is too much information.
No, I mean, this is the Hyrox Race. I'm sure the bathroom lines were long last year when we went there, and everyone was trying to poop.
So, but no, what happens, like, so when I get up in the morning and I have water right away, like that first 10 to 12 ounces, and a lot of times that does it for me, and I don't have to have like the pre-workout to do it. So, but have water first thing in the morning, and you may be able to avoid that long line because you'll be in your hotel room, you know.
Right.
But just in case, give yourself like 30, 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
with that caffeine.
That's a mistake I see a lot of people do, is like they're trying to make sure the caffeine lasts all race, so they have the caffeine 10 minutes before the race or 15 minutes before the race. It's just way too close. It's way too close. I see people running, they're using all their energy running to the bathroom to go poop real quick and come back.
Oh
but there's the interesting thing is there is studies that show, and I know there's a recent study, and I'll have to drop the link below. That shows if you poop before an event like this, like a race, you actually perform better. There's actual evidence that your body performs better and you think clearer. You think clearer.
Oh, that's
and if you think from a physiological standpoint, the gut, and I use the gut as a general term, but the intestines are one of the only areas in the body that have neurons other than the brain and the spinal cord.
Your gut communicates with your brain.
Exactly.
A clear gut.
A clear mind.
Clear mind. Wow, bro. Come on.
Clear gut, clear mind. So it's almost vital to have that pre-game poop.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, man.
So taking us to right before the race, you're in the tunnel, the person, and we had a lady. I don't want to say lady, because maybe it's not a lady this time. The lady standing there yelling at you. Telling you, say these affirmations, giving this whole spiel. You're with guys around you that are in your same heat. What are you thinking then, and what's your first objective when you're about to start that race?
Oh man, so right then it's hard to keep calm, right? And so it's just feel the moment. You know what I mean? If you're pumped, you're good. I mean, just try to relax as much as possible, because once you start running, it's like, I think, for me, like once I start running, I hit that run, like nerves start to settle, so it's like, finally, like I don't have to do anything but just go out here and run this race, and so it's like nerves kind of dissipate as soon as you get going, but everything kind of leading up to that in that tunnel, you can start to feel that energy, which is it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? It's like you got all these guys, like they've been training for this, and so it's a good feeling to be in that tunnel. So just like be in the moment, man, be present, enjoy it.
Yeah, and I did skip a little bit something. The time right before the tunnel, we saw a lot of different warm-ups.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought some people were doing pretty good warm-ups. I thought some people were way overdoing it way too much. You know, what is your warm-up
I wonder.
preference?
I still wonder about that because I don't know that I figured that out because I don't do too much, but maybe I feel like maybe I don't do enough.
Yeah, maybe it's not enough.
Maybe I should go ahead and like get my heart rate up, but generally I don't. I make sure I do some leg swings, some high knees, and just kind of move my body fast, but not a lot. But I don't know. Maybe
I saw people on the treadmill.
some people on the treadmill.
I saw people doing like sled push, sled pull. Like they were doing the actual moves, which they have the equipment there.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of those things. I kind of did like a no weight warm up.
Yeah.
And I felt fine.
That's
you know, I did stretching, no weight warm up. I kind of did the same warm up we commonly do.
Yeah.
The whole time.
And that's important too.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a routine that you warm up with, probably stick to that routine. It's probably the best thing for you to do, no matter what you see everybody else doing.
Right.
You know.
Right. Because you get there and you get that environment. So you know, there's the music going, ladies yelling. There's everyone's around.
Yeah.
Everyone has their shoes on.
Yeah.
You know, they're stretching. You kind of feel like you need to do something.
Like
right?
Oh, maybe I should.
Maybe I should be doing something.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Right. Right.
So
but then again, you know, like I said before, this is a great equalizer.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people doing this event. You have a lot of people that are in shape, but you have other people that are trying to figure out their fitness.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. And that's the good part about this race is that it's really for everybody. So no matter what your fitness level is, but I think not getting scared out of the fact that you see this guy standing right next to you, you know, shredded up, you know, ready to go. Yeah. You know, he may be at the back of the line at the end of the race.
He might be.
You know, you never know.
You don't know what kind of training
you
have. You don't know if he trained it off for this thing.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So I think you're thinking right. Like, don't psych yourself out.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Just trust the work that you have done. Go out there, relax, do your routine, your regular warm-up routine, and run your race.
Which leads us to the race. What are you gonna do with the race?
I want to say I'm just gonna go all out, like right out the gate.
So let me say this: Do you have any time goals? Like, are you trying to reduce the time by a certain amount, or? See, even bringing this up, even bring this up is making them nervous.
I start moving, man. Initially, I did. I would like to continually progress as far as like improving my time.
Yeah.
And so last time we were about hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
I would like to get that to like I don't know, in the hour and 20 something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as long as I make progress, like I'm good. I did a lot of walking, I know, the last time in the what's it called, the rock zone?
Yeah, in the zone, yeah. Right after the functional movements.
So my goal is to, right after the functional movements, start running right away.
Okay.
And so so my goal is just to run more, walk less.
Okay.
And run faster, and you know, break the world record. And
I thought about that too, and should I try to run after the functional movements, or should I focus more of my energy on running fast? You know, and I still don't know what's going to happen. I think at the race is that I thought about that too. Like we talked about it, like should we, you know, jog to the start line of the run right after the functional movements. And I was thinking like, or should I walk fast and use that time to try to recover and then so I can go faster? I have no idea.
Yeah, so like for me, I'm not that fast of a runner.
Yeah.
To where it's going to benefit me to walk and then try to run faster, because it's not gonna happen. I'm not that fast of a runner. So, but I can run for longer, and so I can cut out a lot of that walking. And as soon as I finish the station, just start running. You know, like my speed will speed up. I think once I get to the outside track, but not by that much.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you know, especially after certain movements, right? What do you think the hardest movement for you personally is to run right after that particular movement? What would be the top three? Let's say top three.
So, I mean, the sled push is a tough one, just because it's like boom, and then just like your legs. Are just like, oh shoot.
Yeah, heart rate spikes.
Gotta shake them out.
Yeah.
Burpee broad jumps, I think is a clear one. So those
yeah,
like top two. I think burpee broad jump, especially for where they are in the race, is probably the harder one.
It's like mid race. You're already already knocked
so
out some
like,
functional.
Boom, just spike your heart rate.
It does.
Start running, and it's like. Yeah. And then the third one, I guess I would say. I guess the sandbag lunges.
Sandbag lunges.
It could, because then
makes sense. Yeah.
Like where they are as well. It's like that.
It's at basically the end.
Yeah,
it's like
the
last functional movement before you get to wall balls.
And so I don't know. I mean, because it also helps that it's at the end, because then you have that finish line mentality. It's
you do.
Like, oh man, it's like
push
last
through these.
time running this thing. Let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go. You know.
Right.
So, but you know, you feel it. I definitely feel it after the lunges.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
so,
you're definitely using a lot more of your leg, your musculature, I think, with the sandbag lunges. Even though the sandbag, you know, we train with heavier sandbags, heavier weight, but I mean, even at that point, like you said, that's the end of the race.
Yeah.
You know, it's your last functional movement before you get to the wall balls, which is the last functional movement, so it's your second last. Yeah. And you've run at that point almost 5 miles. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You have 0.6 miles left in the race. Yeah. And you're about to do sandbag lunges. Yeah. So I agree with that. I would pick probably this. I'd pick the same one. Well, I would actually change one. Okay. I would say for me, burpee broad jumps, obvious, definitely number one. Okay. Just the simple fact of what it is. You know, it's you're using your full body. Your heart rate is spiking. Yeah. You're exhausted after that. Yes. And then, but you still have to get back in the race and get your head back in. It's like, all right, that's over. Yeah. Right.
It's over. It's over. Get out.
That's over. I didn't throw up. It's over. And so that would be number one. Number two for me, I would put rowing there. Okay. Even though rowing it feels fine for me, and it's not hard, I feel. It's just more of like another thing that I'm doing. It's kind of like the ski erg. So it spikes my heart rate a little bit, and I'm having to do 1,000 meters. But afterwards, my legs are so tight, I feel like it takes me just maybe like a quarter mile just for my legs to loosen up after the row. Yeah. You know, I feel so tight when I run after the row. Yeah. It just makes me slower, I would say.
That makes sense.
And then definitely I would pick those sandbag lunges. I mean, the sandbag lunges last year, I was rolling. I was like, oh man, I'm rolling through these. I saw you were in front of me. I was like, hey, I'm rolling through these. You know, I'm watching O, and then boom, I got hit with a cramp.
Oh no!
Right, and my sister's standing there, you know, filming me, and she's like,
put the camera down.
Yeah, she's like, I'm like, I caught a cramp, and I think she has it. If I have, I'm gonna throw that footage on here, so you can see, like, I actually caught a cramp, But yeah, I would say sandbag lunges, absolutely. So, so we'll see this year. It seems like it changes a little bit every year because probably because if you are weak on one thing, you focus so much on it, and then you kind of leave something else out. Yeah. You know, which is probably not the best way to do it, but you know, I think it just naturally happens for most people.
I think we're just gonna keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I'm gonna own that.